What's up, guys? Adam back again with RV Returners, again with Chris. We're trying to finish out our Opus VIII reviews. We only got a few more left. This one's going to be purple cards, so we're going over Lightning. I feel like they got some pretty decent stuff this set.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one of their legends is decent. And they teased us with some things too that didn't really quite pan out, but maybe in the future they will. So I'm ready to dive in, man.
Yeah. So first up, we got a new Archangel Evie. He's a 4 CP EX versus AK. When he enters the field, choose one active forward opponent controls, dull it, and deal it 2,000 damage. And then for 5 CP during this turn, the next damage dealt to Archangel Evie by a forward becomes 0 instead.
I don't really know how I feel about this one. I don't know if it'll see play in mono lightning decks. I think the old Archangel Evie, the old one was Evie as well, right?
Yeah. This is the first Archangel we've gotten like 2 cards of.
Oh yeah. And that one maybe saw play as like a one of. And I believe that one was a 3-drop.
It was.
Which made it better for other cards like Alizee, things like that. I do agree with you. I know we were kind of talking about this one before we started. The ability's cool because it is a burst, but I just don't know where it's going to see play. So as far as rating it, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 2 just because maybe it could see play. Because, I mean, dulling something, like you said, off of a burst is something Lightning doesn't really have a lot of. But to be fair, a lot of their bursts just straight kill guys. Why dull it when I can just kill it?
Yeah. What about title?
Title, I think it's actually okay. I think the fact that his second ability is colorless means you can just, if you're at 5 backups, you can just tap and have this guy soak up 1 attack, which could be good. And it could be really good in conjunction with the forward Shantoto. Like if they try to do something and Shantoto, sprays the board, you can pay 5 to keep this guy alive.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with those points. I think it's probably a 2. For me, like, Amon is probably still better. I mean, you don't get the burst, but like you get the dulling every turn if you want it, which I think is a big deal. And then the last ability is really expensive, but it can save you. And then I think it is a lot better in title. So yeah, I'll just do a 2 in standard and a 3 in title as well.
Yeah, that's what I got. That's about right.
All right, next is Alizee. It's a 2 CP backup. Scion on the 7th Dawn. Your card named Alphinaud you control gain 1,000 power, and then for Dole, choose a card named Alphinaud you control gains haste until end of turn.
Obviously, you're not playing this card in a standard Scions deck because you're not replacing the other Alizee at all. But I do think if you're playing a mono lightning build with that Alphinaud forward in it, clearly you're playing this. And it also gives Louis Soir that much more value because I know if you're running a Sid Previa heavy deck, you've got Louis Soir, which can now search out this or the forward Alphinaud. So I actually like this card more than I thought I would when I first saw it because I know like immediately you see Alizee, you think Scion, you're immediately like nope, not playable because you're not you think Scions immediately. But I think if you're playing like a mono lightning deck, I think this card's actually very okay. So I think for standard, I might actually give this thing a 3. And for title, it's another Scion. So I mean, you're probably going to play the forward Alphinaud as well in title. So I think I'll give this a 5 in title.
Okay. Yeah, I think I kind of said it when they first showed this too, that like that was going to be the play with it. I think it just depended on how good.
You were right on mono lightning pretty much from the time you were like, I don't know. You play mono lightning, so you typically know how things are for them, like when the meta starts, and you're right on the money.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a 3 as well. Like, it's not anything like super nutty, right? Like, it's just solid, I think.
Yep.
And if that's a way you want to like build your deck, like if you're still on the Sid Previa, I think it's really good. Just it gets you 3 backups, and then your Louis Soir becomes more valuable. Also, like if you already have this in your hand, you can now go get a forward. And I mean, he's not bad, and we'll go over him later, but he's not bad. So. I think it makes up in title. I'm probably gonna lean more toward a 4 instead of a 5, just because your backup line's getting really tight there, and the last line of text doesn't matter in title because you're playing the other Alizee anyways. So really, you just be playing this for the job and the fact that it gives your Alphinaud 1,000 power. So,
yeah, that's fair.
So I'd probably say it's a 4 just because of its job alone. Other than that, I'm not a huge fan of it really.
That's fair.
So I might even go down to a 3, but next up is
how you feel on the way through.
Yeah, next up is Alba. It's a 3 CP EX burst, Warrior Darkness, 6k. Which enters the field, choose as many forwards as job Warriors of Darkness you control and dull them. If your opponent controls 2 or more dull forwards, she gains haste and can't be chosen by summons and abilities.
I think this may be the best lightning card in the set. I absolutely love it. It's having a second Alua. This card just is an absolute punishment machine. And I think, I mean, I'm just going to cut to the chase. I think it's a 5 in standard. I think it's also a 5 in title because obviously you're just going to dull your opponent's board and then swing through. Just in standard, the fact that, she kind of works well with another card that we're going to talk about here. And just the fact that it's more times than not, it's going to be a second Alua. And what's better than having one Alua on the board? Being able to have 2 of them on the board. So I think the card's really, really good. Just really good. 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her a 4. I think she is really strong, and I think there's gonna be plenty of decks that are gonna have her in there, as well as the other card we'll go over. For me, she's like almost there. I would almost rate her a 5. It's up there. Her power level is very strong, and the fact that she's a burst is really good too. And yeah, she's just really good follow up to Alua because she counts herself, so she's probably gonna dull whatever they put down to try to block Alua, and if they have for some reason another dull. Now you're swinging them for 2 points of damage. That seems okay. And then if they have 2 dull forwards, she's even that much harder to deal with. So now you have 2 like really annoying 3 CPs on the other side of the board. So yeah, I think she's strong. And then title, I'll give her a 5 just because I don't really see how you're not playing this in Legends title if it's a thing. But that deck's kind of remained to be seen, I guess.
Yep.
Next up is Alphinaud. He's a 2 CP 5k Scion of the 7th Dawn. When he attacks, dull all forwards with power equal to or inferior to Alphinaud's. Sorry, this is worded really terribly. When he attacks, dull all forwards with a power equal to or inferior to Alphinaud's opponent controls. That's really. I don't know why it doesn't say it another way, but it's fine.
They could have just put opponents in front of the word forwards.
Yeah.
It's worded poorly, but I think the card's actually really okay. What really makes it better is the equal to or less. And if you have ways to buff him, I think he could just, really get over on some people. I think the card's really good. I think in standard, especially when you play him in a deck with someone like Jake, whereas, which we'll talk about as well. The fact that he can come in as like a 9k, you could give him haste, pretty much dull your opponent's board. And how gross is that? Like this guy on the same turn that you dropped Alba on, you swing with Alphinaud. Oh, look at that. All their stuff is dull. I'm going to go ahead and swing with Alba now. I think this card's really okay in the right deck. So I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm going to give him a 3. I could easily see him as a 4, but he's a build-around card. And the fact that he is only a 2 CP 5k means he is susceptible to a lot of removal, which is also, I think I'm just going to stick with a 3. I think he's good. And in title, he's a Scion forward. You can't argue with that. I think he's a 4 or a 5. I might just give him a 5 in title as well. It's because, Scions and 14 are what you're playing, and another forward is not bad.
Yeah, and in standard, I'm going to give him a 3 as well. I don't even think you need to cater to him that much. I think you could just play Mono Lightning with the package we talked about earlier, and you just have Lulu there, and he's a 7k, dulling all the 7ks. So then you're forced to, block him, with your higher... you can't just drop, little chumpy dudes. You have to actually drop 4 CP or higher forwards to even deal with this 2 CP card. Or have some kind of hard removal to just kill him before he attacks. And that is really annoying, and it's also annoying because he's probably going to have haste. So... You kind of have to be ready for it. In title, I think he's a 5 out of 5. He's a Scion. He's a forward. The name clash doesn't matter there. So you're just playing him for 2 to power up Ida, and then sometimes it just dulls stuff.
Turns out.
Yeah. Next up is Electric Jellyfish. It's a 2 CP Crystal Chronicles monster. When it enters the field, choose a forward. It gains haste until end of turn. And then put it into the break zone, choose a forward, dull it.
If you want to go first, I know you had been talking about this one a little bit. If you want to go first on this one.
I think it's pretty solid. I'm going to give it a 3. It's not anything crazy, but it does 2 things that are good. I mean, haste is probably the best keyword in the game, maybe. Not maybe, it probably is. And then just being able to dull something on the way out is pretty good. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm not sure like where to put it. That's my only issue. Is like I'm not sure how you're making room for it, especially since you have like Red Mage and you have the new backup that we haven't gone over as ways to haste stuff. But I think it's solid. So I'll have 3. And then title, it's not color restricted, so I'll give it a 4.
Sure. I agree with you. In standard, I'm also going to give it a 3, just because I think it's a neat card where, again, we're talking about plays that are around Alba here. You can play it, give another forward haste, break it, dull something, and now Alba has haste. Once again, you're going to swing sideways. So I think it's a 3, but I agree with you. I don't know where it goes. In title, I'm giving this thing a 5, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you can say you've got Yuri already on the board. You drop this thing, you drop Chelinka. You give Chelinka haste, you dull a forward, you party attack with Yuri and Chelinka. You're killing something, and you're getting something else out of the way.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty strong.
Yeah, I think for title it's really strong. So I'm gonna give it a 5, and standard I'm giving it a 3. It's good. I think it's a good card.
Yeah, I will say one more thing about it in standard. I think it's a pretty interesting Gao target. I'll say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean you don't have to play Lightning to do that. I mean, you only have to play this card, but so I think it's pretty interesting for that. Next up is 7 CP Odin. It's a reprint. I think it sucks for limited, but we'll just skip it. Then we got 2 CP Black Mage. It's a 14 standard unit backup for 2 lightning, dull, break, put it in the break zone. Choose a lightning summon in your break zone, add to your hand.
I like all these type of cards again. I think lightning's another one that is sort of similar to Earth in the vein that you can be a little more toolboxy with your summons. I mean, being able to get back a Cyclops or a Ramuh. I'm talking about like 3 CP Ramuh. Being able to maybe get back the 4 CP Odin to threaten something with that. I think the card's good. I don't really see it maybe being more than like a 1 of in most mono lightning decks. So I'll give it. I said when we did the fire review, I give all of these type of cards a 4. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and stick with that. I think the card's a 4 out of 5 because it's just one of those cards that allows you to toolbox your summons a little bit more and get multiple use out of the ones you decide to go down on. It's in title. I think it's actually okay. Actually, no. 14 doesn't have any summons. It's a 0. Yeah. I apologize.
Yeah, it's a 0 in title. They don't have any summons at all, let alone lightning summons.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4 too. I know I was harsh on the fire one because I feel like all fire summons kind of do the same stuff except for like Phoenix and Belias, and everything but Belias is awkward to cast after you've broken the backup. So, but with this one, because you can be more toolboxy, because you can run like the Ramuhs, the Exoduses, the Odins, this allows you to get that stuff back. Like just getting back Ramuh, I think is enough to make the star of this guy a 4 in my mind.
Absolutely.
If you're on 5 backups, you break this. And then you can cast, or you could like cast a Ramuh, break this, get the same Ramuh back, cast again. Now you deal like 14k to something or 7k to 2 things and dull 2 things. I mean that's gonna win a game easily, I think. So yeah, I think he's really solid. Next is the first legend. It's Sakura. She's a 5 CP 4k. When she enters the field, choose an active forward. Opponent controls, deal at 8,000. Dull 5 active lightning backup. Choose a forward, break it.
I actually didn't like this card when I first saw it, and then we got to play something on Tuesday when we did our locals. Colin, played this card against me, and I think it's actually good. I think it's a really solid 1 of at like the top end of lightning, because it's a card that when you play it, it's more than likely going to kill something. And if you don't have an answer for it, by the time it's their turn again, something else is going to die. It is a card you have to answer. Yeah, it's severely understated, but if you look at the fact that you're getting essentially a Bahamut to active forwards and a 1 CP 4K, that's not terrible. And dulling the 5 lightning backups is not bad at all to just break something, and that's not cost. It's not cost restricted on the forward. So, but you're never going to play more than 1, maybe 2 max of this card. So I'm going to give it a man. If we were doing half amounts, because I'm between a 3 and a 4, but because I think decks that it's easy to kill, I'm going to give it a 3. And I think in Brave Exvia's title, it's probably going to be a 0, maybe a 1, depending on what their summons look like, because you're not going to be able to get the dull 5 lightning backups to get the second ability off. So,
yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4. I think it is strong. I think there's a couple of lines you can take with this card. Like you can play it for pseudo like 11 CP, I guess, and kill 2 things the turn it comes out. But to me, like if that's your primary play for the card, like I think you should just play Ryden unless you're really worried about Y'shtola. I mean, like that's really the only reason to not play Ryden in that instance. And even then, you're not killing Y'shtola with the AK, so hopefully they have like something else you can hit. But I think you can also just play this off your 5 backups, deal AK to something, and just pass to your opponent and be like, you better kill this.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's a fine play. Like, it opens up lines. Like, if you're running your other 5+ guys, like Astinian and Adea or something like that. More Astinian than Adea. If they have to use removal on this, it's less removal they have to deal with Astinian or cards like that.
And that's where you want to be.
Yeah, so... And if she lives a turn, I mean, you're gonna do a lot. So, yeah, I think she's a 4 there. And yeah, in title, I think she's sadly a 1 or a 0. I'll give her a 1 just because she does something on entry, but you're never getting the other ability off.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Jake. We're gonna call him Jake from State Farm. Nice khakis, right?
He's wearing khakis, exactly.
4 CP AK Brave Exvius. When a forward other than Jake enters your field, it gains 4,000 power until end of turn, and then choose a forward. It gains haste until end of turn, just for dulling.
Yeah. I believe it's what, tap? Yeah, just tap and choose a forward.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, card's good. Card is really, really good. I think it combos with the Alphinaud that we talked about. It's a really neat trick with Ramza. Good for anything that you're looking for something to have more. What am I trying to say here? It's anything you want to pump to really get over on your opponent, I think is really, really good. Great with Gilgamesh, Spaghetti Gilgamesh. That's the card I was trying to think of, but for some reason, my mouth didn't work. I think he's really good. Obviously, you have to give him haste to give something else haste if you want to do it the turn he comes out. But I think if he's a card that sticks around, he could really just kind of tempo you out of a game. I think he's really neat. I think in standard, he is a build-around card, though. I think when you play him, you're looking for forwards that benefit from that, like Gilgamesh, like Ramza, like Alphinaud. Even a card like the forward Archangel, if you can give that thing haste just by tapping this guy and have it come into play as it'll get the 4 power when it comes in. Obviously, you can respond in that window before it gets the buff. But I think it's really, really neat. So in standard, I might actually give this guy a 4. Because I think you can build some really neat decks off of him. And I think in title, he's probably going to be a 4 as well, because I think just being able to buff all those other guys could be really, really good.
Yeah, in standard, I'm going to give him a 3. I think you do have to cater to him a little bit too much, but I do think what he brings to the table is very interesting. I think Gilgamesh is the card he helps the most, in my opinion.
Yep.
Just the fact that you only have to have 2 Gilgamesh in the yard, and now you have to worry about a 10k Gilgamesh coming in swinging twice. That's pretty annoying. Then I also think he's good in like a Golbez deck, probably. Being able to haste those little dudes or anything like that is going to be really good. And then the buff that they're going to enter with, like you're going to turn a 2 CP 5k into a 9k with haste.
Yep.
And then Jake's going to get to stick around unless they kill him, right? So, but I do think you have to cater to him a bit much, and he's not like groundbreakingly overpowered. So that's why I'm sticking with a 3. In title, yeah, I'll give him a 4. I think in title, power is very important. So being able to give your guys plus 4k on entry and haste is just going to be really good. So I'm going to give him a 4.
Yep, I agree.
Next is Shango. He's a 3 CP 5k. For each lightning backup you control, Shango gains 1,000 power.
Very short, sweet, and to the point. I don't think you're playing this guy outside of mono lightning, but even then, he doesn't really do anything. He's just a body. But you can play him off of Alizee if you really want to get no value out of that. I think in standard, I'll give him a 2. In Brave Exvius title, sorry, he's a Legends. Never mind, he's a Legends. I thought he was Brave Exvius. In Legends title, I'll probably give him a 0 or a 1 because you're not really going to have a lot of lightning backups. So I don't see there's not really much reason to play this guy. I mean, maybe in a mono lightning deck you could get away with a cute one of just for a large size body, but not really much happening there.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 2 as well in standard. He's just a generic big dude. Late game, he's gonna be a 10 or an 11k, which is cool, but that's it.
Yeah.
And in title, yeah, unless they just start printing like a bunch of FFL lightning backups or something, like he's a 0. So
exactly.
Next up is Summoner. It's a 2 CP backup, 14 standard unit. When it enters the field, choose a lightning forward. It gains haste and first strike.
It's a fine card. Again, you're using this in mono. I think it's something you can use in conjunction with Red Mage, but I don't know if this replaces Red Mage. The first strike could be good, especially in a deck with something maybe like Alphinaud or like Ramza, or again, Gilgamesh already gets the spaghetti Gilgamesh. He gets Brave and can attack twice. He doesn't get first strike.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so maybe there too, but I don't know. I don't see it being more than maybe a 1 of, maybe a 2 of, because I think you're still using Red Mage. So for standard, I'll give it a 2 because it is playable. It's a 2 CP backup. It will give something haste and first strike, but I think Lightning just has more ways to do that anyway. I really wish that card was a red card, and then in title, I don't think you're playing it at all because you're playing Scions. And they've already got haste, and you don't really care about first strike there because your guys are just bigger. So I'll give it a 2 in standard and a 0 in title.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 2 in standard also. I think you're only gonna play this if you're playing some like really aggressive lightning deck, really aggressive, because otherwise, yeah, I think Red Mage is just better. You can play Red Mage turn 1, and then it just has consistent value down the line. Like after you play this, it's just a backup. But I mean, it does give you 2 keywords, which are pretty good. So, I don't really see it making the cut in a lot of decks, maybe as a one-off, but it's like a locked-in backup, and I think a lot of times right now your locked-in backup is probably Black Mage. I think it's doing more for you. In title, I'll give it a 1 just because it could see play, but yeah, I don't think your Scions really need first strike that bad, and they already all have haste, so it's not really doing much. So.
Yep.
Next up is Jenai or Jenai.
Jenai.
It's a 4 CP 4K. Legends, Job Ninja. He has back attack, first strike, and when he enters the field, you choose a forward opponent controls and deal it 4K.
Oh, well, this may be the best card with back attack we've seen. I actually think this card is really good for a couple reasons. One, it's going to beat 8Ks. It's it's can kill smaller forwards. The fact that it's just such a really neat combat trick, and it's something that you can get back with Diana. Which, the fact that, when it does finally die, because I'm sure on the next turn it's going to die, you can recycle it. It plays really well with Jake. If he's on the board and you back attack this guy in, you're killing something bigger than an 8K. I think he's a good card overall. I think he's a very tricky kind of card. I don't see you really playing more than, maybe like 1 or 2 of them. So I think in standard I'll give him a 3 because I think he does do a lot. In title, I think in title, Legends title, I think he'll be a really good trick for them. So I'll actually give him a 4 for title.
Yeah, in standard, I'm going to sit around a 3. I think the threat of him is better than the card itself. I think the card is good. But now, when you're playing against Lightning, you have to play around this card. It's going to be a little tough because if you have anything that's 8K or less, he's just going to come in and he's not even going to trade. He's going to just eat it.
Yep.
So unless you have something like Y'shtola that can't take damage, and his damage isn't tied to active, which is a lot of the case with a lot of lightning stuff.
Yep.
And his is not. Yeah, I think he's easily the best back attack card. Not even close. He's probably always going to be favorable for you, and sometimes you can just play him at the end of your opponent's turn and give pseudo haste again.
Yep.
And then the first strike can be good with other damaging effects. So, yeah, I think he's just all around solid. I might even go up as high as a 4 on him, just because I think his ceiling is pretty high. I just don't know. Decks are getting really tight, and the more sets we get, they're going to get even tighter. So, but I do think he has a home for sure. I think mono lightning decks are shaping up to be very different from each other.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. A lot of flavor to taste.
Yeah, and then in title, I'm gonna give him a 4 there. Yeah, I think it's just really solid combat trick that Legends probably needs. So. Next up, we got Diana, another Legends forward, 3CP, 6K, Job Warrior of Darkness. When she enters the field, choose a FFL forward other than Diana in your break zone and add it to your hand. And for Dole, choose one category Legends forward other than Diana, gains plus 2,000 power until end of turn.
This is the other another card I think that is absolutely fantastic. She's essentially going to be a 1 CP when you play her. And the fact that, again, just coming off of a card like Jenai, when you play her and grab the Jenai back, on the next turn, obviously if she's even been out a couple of turns, you can tap her to make Jenai bigger. Obviously, pitching Alba to play her, and then just playing Alba, double 2 things, and hey, guess what? Now she has haste and can't be targeted. I think she's really good. I know when we first saw her, we were like, yeah, she's kind of plain, kind of bland, but we did also say that she was as good as the other, Legends cards that came around. And I think they've kind of panned out. So I think if you're playing any kind of Warrior of Darkness, Legends package and all, she's a part of that. So I think in Standard, I think she's 4, and in Title, obviously if you're playing Legends, I think she's a 5 because you're probably playing 3 of her.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her a 3 just because I think she's really dependent on what other stuff you're playing in Standard. But I do think she's solid, and yeah, essentially she's 1 CP if you build around her right. And some of those cards are really good. So I do think you will see it for sure. But I think it's just another card. It's just like really solid, but it's not like doing anything like stupidly unfair.
Yep.
And then in Title, yeah, it buffs everything in that deck, so it's got to be a 5. Like it's just nuts in Title, and it's always getting you a card back.
Always cost 1.
Yeah. Next up is Death Machine. It's a 5 CP Crystal Chronicles monster. Each turn at the beginning of your main phase 1, if neither player controls forwards, put Death Machine into the break zone. At the end of your turn, choose one forward opponent controls, break it. At the end of your opponent's turn, select one forward you control, put it into the break zone.
I'll let you take this one. I know you've been talking about wanting to build a deck with this. I think the card's really, really neat.
I think it's a neat card. I think you'll see some decks with people trying to do some fun, interesting things. I think it has potential. However, it costs 5. It's a lot. Yep. But it does make it hard to deal with. If you build around this right, I think it could be pretty oppressive. But I think it's going to take a lot of time, and someone's going to have to put a lot of time into building around it. I am trying, and I've come up with some cool ideas, and I've seen some other people come up with some cool ideas, like with Calbrenna and stuff like that. But for me right now, it's a fun side project. Like, it's not anything where I'm just like, this is the next best thing, right? Like, I don't feel that way. I'm going to give it a 2, only because I just don't see it yet. But I think it's a very fun card. Like, very fun. In Title, I'll bump it up to a 3 just because it's, like, kind of removal. But, and then Crystal Chronicles doesn't have much else. But I think it's going to be way worse in Title because you can't, like, as far as, like, the upside of it in Title, because you can't really do a lot of cute stuff with it in Title. It's just, in Title, it just is what it reads, basically. But in Standard, you can do trickier things with this card.
And unfortunately, in Title, if you go up against like the Gull Wings, you can't really do anything about it. Yeah, you're just not playing. You're pitching that card for CP.
Well, it'll never die.
Yeah, that is true.
Because there will always be forwards on the board, and that's also true about like if like a Lua sitting across the board too. It still fizzles the effects. So. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page as you. I think it's a really neat card. I think it's going to be a real this is a card that just screams like gunslinger deck or like casual deck, because I mean I think it reads really neat, and I think if you build a deck right, again, Calbrenna was the first thing in like vanilla, the first things I thought of too. So it could be neat. In Standard though, I'm gonna give it a 1, maybe a 2, just because I don't really think right now it can just do enough. It could be tricky and annoying. But I think there's enough things out there, like the new Noctis. This thing doesn't live. This thing just comes out and it's gone immediately.
Yeah, I think you have to have a removal for smaller stuff like that when you play this card. But yeah, I mean, you could get punished for sure.
Exactly. And then in Title, I don't think I'm going to give it a 1, just because I don't think your Crystal Chronicles forwards you want to keep on board. Like, I don't want to kill my Yuri or my Chelinka just to kill their guy. So I don't think you're playing it in title until maybe more stuff comes out. So I'm gonna give it just a 1.
Well, okay, so not to spend too much time on this because I don't want to like kill
But
everyone
it's so
with
neat,
just death.
though.
It
It's
is a
so
very
neat,
neat
though.
card.
Like, you want to talk about it.
But if you play this on your turn, it's kind of 5 CP kill a dude. Because at the end of your turn, you're gonna get to kill something. Obviously, if you're planning on doing combat and stuff that turn, that might change things. But you're if you think of it just that way, that's pretty decent value, right? Like Odin costs 7, has a burst. It hits more than the other Odin does, and Ryden has to be played off backups. So like maybe in that like just 5 CP kill a dude, and then if they don't play a guy, you just lose this. So you just played 5 CP to kill something.
Yeah, that is true.
But then you have to worry about it hitting you back, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I think you have to build around it, but I think it's an extremely fun and cool card. But yeah,
absolutely.
I don't see it like breaking the meta or anything. Not yet. I kind of hope it does. I hope someone figures out something really dumb about it, but I'm not seeing it yet. So
maybe it's the combo piece for Shalota that you're looking for.
I mean, she's in the deck that I'm making too, but
See, I know it. I know it.
Next up is Ryden. We were just talking about it. So it's a 4 CP Mobius summon. You can only pay with CP produced by backups to cast it. Choose a forward, break it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible card, right?
It's better than Bahamut.
It's way better, way better. I think you know if we're going back to like more toolboxy summons for lightning or decks with lightning in it, I don't think this is terrible. I don't like that you are essentially tapping out on the turn that you play it, but it could be good enough that all right, I'll tap my 4 backups. That thing's dead, and the 1 backup you leave open could be like something tricky, like I don't know, like a Lyle or the I don't know, something. You're leaving something open that's going to help protect you and move your board state forward. So maybe I think in standard I'm going to give it a 2, just because I really don't know. I don't think it's a bad card, but I do think that having to pay with backups does keep it from being able to do as much as I would like it to do. And in title, I don't really think we can give it a rating because Mobius title is you can't play it.
Yeah, Mobius is unplayable currently.
So we'll give it our first NA of the card set.
That's a 0, right? We've been giving cards 0.
Yeah.
It's a 0.
Yeah.
In standard though, I'm gonna give it a 1. My advice is just play other summons. Like there are other summons that are more worthy of a slot than this, unless you're playing Legend Minwoo. And I mean,
don't go down that dark path, sir.
I mean, I think you're in kind of janky territory at that point, at least right now in my mind. So. I mean, it is a really good card with him, but he has to live in order to cast it. So
you're getting into Andrew Baby Shoes Lane jank territory there.
I don't know if it's that janky, but it's pretty janky. But yeah, so I'm gonna stick with the 1. I just think like 4 CP Odin hits probably almost everything you need to. And even Death Machine's like I said, is a more interesting card than this. That also breaks that forward. It just has a little bit more text to it that you have to kind of cater toward. This is like I don't like only paying with. I don't like that limiting factor. So unless it's reactivating things, Next up is Ramuh. It's a 4 CP EX burst. Choose an active forward, deal it 5,000 and 1,000 more damage for each lightning backup you control.
Man, there's no reason to play this card. It's a 1 in standard and a 0 in title. The other Ramuhs are just better. And if you're looking to kill stuff with kill active forwards, obviously you're going to use the 3 CP Ramuh because you're going to get other value off of it, or you're just slamming Alizee into something, or you're playing Sakura or any other thing that does, if you're playing, Wind Lightning, use what's his name, Rajan. One of the other cards we're going to talk about here next actually can do it. I just don't think I don't think there's any reason to play this Ramuh.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 1 as well. I do think the only reason I could see is if you're really trying to up your burst count. Like if you want like a really high burst count lightning deck, I think you're gonna have to end up running this because the 1 CP Ramuh with burst, it's only good in certain decks.
Yep.
And the other 4 CP Ramuh with burst is amazing.
Yeah, I think that's the one you're running.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think if you're running like 7 Odin and the 4 CP Ramuh and you just want bursty summons, like you want to punish people for swinging at you, maybe you play this and that's okay. But it ain't great. And then title, it's a 0. You're not playing any lightning backups really in that title, so it's not really going to do anything. Next up is Lid. It's a 4 CP backup. When it enters the field, choose one lightning character in your break zone, add it to your hand. And then for Dull, discard 3 cards, choose an active forward, deal it 8,000 damage.
I think this card's neat. I can definitely see it being like maybe like a one of in some lightning decks. It allows you to kind of clean up your hand a little bit if you just got some real clunky things that, you know, maybe you don't want to discard them for CP, but maybe you're at a point where discarding them to this to kill something may just be better. And being able to get a lightning character back could be good. I think it's fine. I think in standard, for now, I'm going to give it a 2, because I don't think, you know, more. You're not going to want to always discard 3 cards. You're essentially paying 7 CP to deal an active forward, you know, 8,000 damage. So it's like when you have to hard cast a 7 CP Odin. You don't really want to do it, but when the time comes, you're probably just going to win the game off of it. So, and in title, I'll probably give it a 4. I mean, it's a Brave Exvius backup. And it's a piece of removal, which we haven't seen much of that yet. So I think in title it's a 4, standard it's a 2.
Yeah, in standard I'm gonna give it a 2 as well. I think to me this card screams Heroic Lulu to me.
Yep.
You can play it. You can get another copy of your Heroic Lulu back. You can Thundaga. You can throw this thing at someone and not feel terrible about it because then you can play another one, get another Lulu back, do it again. That seems okay to me. Not like super great, but okay. Yep. And then, yeah, I mean, if you really have 3 cards you're willing to get rid of, it's pretty steep price. But, I mean, sometimes it might win you the game. And the fact that it's only Dull, I think, might save it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's pretty average to me. In title, I'll give it a 3 just because I think it's a really solid backup. I'm not really sure how much other lightning stuff other than, like, Sakura exists for Brave Exvius. So, I'm not really sure what they have yet, but if they get more, it'll be good. And if somehow they get a lot of lightning backups, that'll help Sakura as well. So, I'll sit on a 3 there. Next up is the first Dragoon. It's a category 14 standard unit. If you control 3 or more job Dragoons or card named Dragoon, it gains haste and first strike.
I don't think the card's great. I think the other Dragoon that we'll talk about is better. But, you know, no matter what color standard units are now, I have to look at their cost as a -2 because of the Wind Warrior of Light. I think if you're playing maybe some sort of, if you're getting real wild and playing like a Wind Lightning Dragoon deck, which is now super viable because in the last set, there was the Dragoon that had Wind CP attached to it, and now you've got Warrior of Light. So this guy costing 2 might be okay, especially if you're playing in conjunction with other Dragoons, which you're not playing this guy just as a solo standard unit. But I just think there's better Dragoons to play. So I'm gonna give him 1. I just don't think he makes the cut in Dragoon decks. And in title, I don't think you're playing him either. He's probably I mean, he's a body, but you're not playing him. So I'll give him a 0 in title as well.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 1 as well. If there were Dragoon backups, that would make him better. But because there aren't, I think, I'm not paying 4 CP for this. Like, I'm just not.
Yep.
And then in title, yeah, it's a 0. You're not playing that at all, I don't think, ever, to be honest. Next up is the other Dragoon. It's a 3 CP 7K. Attack is advanced 1. The cost required to play Dragoon onto the field is reduced by 1 for each job Dragoon or card Dragoon you control. It cannot become 0.
All right, so again, to the same argument, I think this guy's really, really good. Because obviously, again, going back to Warrior of Light, if you're playing like a Wind Lightning Dragoon deck, this guy's actually going to net you CP in that deck. And I think in just dedicated, you know, a classic Lightning Water or just a mono Lightning Dragon, this guy's always going to cost you 1. And he's going to get buffed off of everything else in the deck. I think, here's the thing. I'm gonna kind of give this guy a different rating because obviously you're playing this guy in dedicated Dragoon decks, and in those decks, I think he is a 5. He is a 5 out of 5 in those decks. So I feel like I'm gonna stick with that rating because will he see play in standard in a dedicated Dragoon deck? 100%. And in title, I'll probably give him a 2. It depends on how many more Dragoons they print for Tactics Advance. So he could be really good, but I think now he's a 2. But yeah, standard, I think he's really, really solid.
Yeah, I'll give him a 4 in standard just because of what he does for the archetype. But I think that archetype still needs something else. Like they're missing something. I don't really know exactly what it is. but they're missing something. In title, I'm gonna give him a 1.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough. I don't even think there is another Dragoon. The other one's Tactics Advanced too, so
yeah,
you're not even getting them for a discount. I think there's probably more than enough cards to play at this point for Tactics Advanced 1, where you're just not playing this guy. So
yeah,
I think he's
I can agree with that.
Next is Rude. He's a 2CP Cat 7 member of the Turks backup. Choose for Dull. Choose a card named Rufus or job member of the Turks you control gains 1,000 power tone to turn. And then for his S is Grand Spark. For S, 3 lightning, 4 colorless, Dull. Deal 8,000 to all active forwards. You can only use this ability if you control a card named Reno.
Hey man, seven's your bag. I'll let you go first on this one.
So I've come around on the next few cards we're going to talk about a little bit. I'm not saying they're great. I'm gonna give this one in particular though right now a 1. Only because he doesn't have other cards that support him yet. I think as more Turks get printed and we have more Turk deck, he'll be pretty good. His S is very, very expensive, but it can win games. You can kind of swing out and then whatever they didn't block with, just deal damage across the board and kill a bunch of stuff. But I don't think you're gonna do that a lot. However, he's searchable. I think that's the one thing that might save him in this set is that you can search him and he's a searchable lightning backup. But I think he's a 1. In title, I think he's a 1. I would give him a 0 if I could. I mean, I guess I can, but I'm gonna give him a 1. You're not playing Turks in title, I don't think so.
Not yet anyway.
So yeah, I think he's a 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with both of those. And this was what I said at the top of this program that. Boy, they just really I get it. Like it's like this is like going to like Costco and getting the free samples. You're like, wow, that's really good. I do want some more. Well, they're all out. I guess I'll have to buy some next time. And I feel like that's kind of how this feels with the next couple cards we're going to talk about. So I agree with you. 1 across the board.
Yep. Next up is Rufus. He's a 4CP EX Burst, Cat 7, President of Shinra, 5K. When he enters the field, you may search for 1 job member of the Turks and add to your hand. When Rufus or job member of the Turks you control is put from the field into the break zone, choose 1 active forward opponent controls, deal at 5K. I can go first on this one, too.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, again, 7 cards are your bag.
I think, at first when I saw this, I was, when I saw the full set, I was upset that this was like an L slot. I'm still a little upset that this is an L slot. But I'm going to give it a 3 as of right now, and I'll tell you why. I think it combos well with the other card we're going to talk about in a second. Pretty well, actually. It can search backups. That's important. I think in a very fast, low-to-the-ground mono lightning deck, and maybe lightning X to an extent, this could see play. He can kind of like form your backup line a little bit, and then he's always swinging up the curve. And then if you are playing Rude, he's a 6K. If you have Lulu out, he's a 7K. So that's pretty decent. And I think you don't.
Par for the course.
Yeah, I think you also don't mind if he dies because you can just play another one. And you can either go search for the S's for the other 2, or get the other one that you don't have, So I actually think he's pretty solid. So I'm gonna give him a 3. I think he's still a bit of like a lot of people are gonna be unhappy that they pull him as their legend for sure, and he'll be a lot better as they print more Turks. But I actually think he's pretty decent now.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think just now here's the thing is I'm gonna give him a 2 in standard. I agree with all the points you said. But this is a card that will not always be a 2 as they print more Turks. This guy's just going to do nothing but get better, and he'll be the backbone of a lot of those strategies or all of those strategies. But I agree with you. He swings up the curve. He has ways to get buffed. I think he's a fine card, but I think you do. It's like another package that Lightning has to dedicate itself to. I mean, I think if you're playing maybe like a dedicated 7 deck, maybe like Earth Lightning or something, maybe you could do some cute things with it because he can help you fix your colors. Well, he can help you get Lightning backups out, obviously, which you're other than Reno and Rude, you're probably not playing any other ones, maybe. So I think he's okay, and I think in title right now he's also a 1. Obviously, as you see more Turks, he's just a card that's going to get better over time. So while I'm not high on him now, he's a card you're always going to have to look at when they start printing more Turks.
Yeah, and I don't think I gave him a title rating, but he's a 1 right now in title. I just don't think you're playing Turks in title. But yeah, I am I think he's pretty decent in standard. So next up is the last of the 3. It's Reno. He's a 2CP, category 7 backup member of the Turks. For Dole, put him into the break zone, choose an active forward, deal at 3K. And then his S is just S and Dole. Choose a forward, dull it.
Hey, you're up first.
So I think right now he's the best of the 3. Maybe Rufus is like right there with him, so I'm gonna give him a 3 as well. But you have to play him in conjunction with Rufus, I think. Like, if you're not, there's no reason to play this card. Like, yeah, I think you're playing both of those cards together. You might not be playing Rue, but I think you're playing the other 2 cards if you're playing either one.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
With Rufus out, this is going to deal 8k to something, and you can't remove Rufus in response because of how it's already gone on the stack, if that makes sense. So, because they're separate abilities, when you go to break this guy to target an active forward, Rufus's ability will also trigger right then and there. So you can't remove Rufus on the stack to stop the 5k. He's going to do 8k no matter what, if that makes sense. And then
in that case, you can play another Rufus, then go get another Reno.
Right, they can kind of recycle themselves. And his S can win games. You can also like play this guy early, then play Rufus, go get a Reno, and then dull a guy, swing.
Yeah.
That seems okay to me. Again, I don't think he's super great, but I'm going to give him a 3. I think both of them together are decent and worth looking at. Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I think I'm going to kind of go the same, treat him the same way I did Rufus. I think right now he's just a 2 in standard because you are using it all in conjunction, and that does take up some card slots that I just don't think they do enough right now. But I think the positive side is there. And he's another one that as you start seeing more Turks in the future, this card's just going to do nothing but get better. So I'm going to say 2 in standard, 1 in title for right now.
Yeah, and again, he's a 1 in title for me also because you're not playing Turks in title.
Yep.
Next is the first of the starter cards, so it's a 2 CP Thancred backup. Job Scion. Choose an attacking 14 forward you control against first strike until end of turn.
I think, in standard, you're probably not playing this guy because I think both forward Thancreds are better. You're not really using this guy in a lightning deck. Maybe if you're playing, obviously you're playing a dedicated 14 deck. So, with maybe like Samurais or something like that. Well, turns out that's kind of what this starter deck is all about. So I think if you really build around having your forwards that can kind of buff themselves, I don't think he's a bad card. I just don't really know what kind of deck you're playing him in. So I'll give him a 2. In title, I think I'll give him a 5 just because he is a Scion. He's a Scion backup that you can just tap to give your dude first strike, which could be really, really good. So 2 in standard, 5 in title.
Yeah, I think he's a title card. So I'll start there. I'm going to give him a 4 in title. His job is super relevant there. It doesn't matter that there's 2 other Thancreds there. First strike is a pretty good keyword in title. It's going to let your stuff live sometimes. And your guys are pretty big there too. So I think it's just going to be about making the space. Like maybe Alphinaud gets the cut or something in title. In standard, I'm going to give him a 1. I don't think there's going to be some dedicated 14 deck. Although it's pretty interesting if you maybe do that and you have Lava Spider or something. I don't know. But I feel like I'm stretching. So I'm just going to sit on a 1 there. Next up is Forola. She's a 4 CP, 8k, category 14. When she enters the field, choose 1 backup you control. You may remove her from the game. If you do so, she gains 1,000 power, haste, first strike, and brave. This effect does not end at the end of the turn.
I think this card's really, really good, actually. The fact that you can take those searchers, recycle them once you've gotten what you need out of it, and that the fact that the haste, the first strike, and the brave just stay there for as long as she's alive. I think it's good. I think the card's really, really good. You just gave me a 9k beater with all the keywords. I think, and the thing is, she's not color locked into anything. So, if you're playing a Lightning X deck, there's no reason to not play this card, especially if you're, especially in again, I see this card like I see Thancred, and obviously the starter deck is Lightning Fire. I think that's another place where she's really going to thrive. I could even see her in Mono Lightning. She kind of becomes like another, when I say a Stinian-like threat, she's not attacking twice, but she's coming in. You're going to remove a backup, so now you can play another one, and then you're just coming into the red zone with a 9k haste brave first strike, 10k if you got Lulu on the board. That's a big mountain to climb. So I think in standard, I'm actually going to give her a 4. And honestly, I think in title, she might actually be a 4 as well. Even though she's not a Scion, there's no reason you can't play her, break a backup, break a Scion backup that maybe you just don't need in the matchup, so you can play one that maybe you do need, and then now you've got a forward that's just as big of a threat as the Scions that you're playing. So I think she's really good.
Yeah, in Standard, I'm going to give her a 4. I think the effect is really strong. The fact that it's permanent makes it even stronger.
Yeah.
She does feel a little bad if you play her and then she gets removed. But she's going to allow you to reuse, like, your tutors. At least that's, like, where I'm looking at right now. Because I think at least Mono Lightning is running a lot of 3 CP tutors because of Sid Previa. And this allows me later in the game to break one, to then play another one. Like, say I break Clan Gully Sid, play another Clan Gully Sid, get another Lua S, and this is attacking, you know? That seems pretty good to me. I think she goes in a standard Scions deck, actually. I think you make room for her because she does something that you couldn't do before. And that's
get rid of Luis Swan.
That's pop Luis Swan, get him off the field. You don't care. Like, you don't want him there. And now what he's done his job. He's gotten you your Alizee. You've played your Alizee. Now you get him off the field and you play another Scion backup, or you play a Miner or something way better than Luis Swan. And I think that's important. And yeah, in title, I'm going to give her a 4 as well. Pretty much for the same reason I think she's playable in Standard. I think she's just a big body. She gives something to the deck. She allows you to break backups that you don't want anymore to play a better backup.
Yeah, card's really scary.
So, yeah, I'm pretty high on her. She's probably one of the more cards I'm excited to play.
Yeah.
Next up is Geary. She's a 2CP 4K Category 14 Job Ninja. If your opponent does not control forward, she gains haste. And then for 2 lightning, 2 colorless, break a forward that blocks Geary.
I actually like this card too, and this, from what I'm seeing, and we'll talk about this a little bit more actually, because it'll kind of come to a head when we get to the water set review. You have a card like this. You have a card like Noctis. You're seeing these 2 CP forwards that there's no reason to not play them on turn 1 if you have that. If you go first and you have her in her opener, play her. Because you're swinging for a point of damage and it just costs you 2 CP. Especially if you're on the play. And then if she sticks around a couple turns and you kind of build backups up behind her, she's going to be scary to block, especially if you just swing and have 4 open mana. Like, I think the card's good. I think in Standard, I don't really know where she goes. In Standard, I'm actually going to give her a 3. In title, I think she's a 3. I think it's another non-Scion forward that you actually don't mind playing because it's like turn 1, play it, swing, take a point of damage. So I think I'll give her a 3 across the board.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her a 3 as well. I think the interesting thing is if I'm reading this right, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, is even if you break her after you've committed to blocking, she still will break the thing that blocks her. Because it doesn't use the word blocking. It just says a forward that blocks her. So I think it's still legal. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure on that. But if you cannot, like, if that's the case, I think she's a lot better. Because the problem with things like Mateus and stuff is if you kill the attacker, the forward is no longer blocking, so it kind of fizzles it out. But I want to say in this case, that's not the case. So if you blocked her and she decides she wants to pay for it, you're dead, I think. Which
that's
really
something worth looking into. But I think it's a fantastic turn 1 play.
Yeah.
Like, if it's one of those things like, oh, you know what, you got your hand. It's like, oh, well, I've got some backups. I've got this. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna test the waters. It's also a great way to, like, if you're on the play, it lets you kind of see what your opponent's playing without letting them play anything. Because you play it, you slam it, and you take damage. Like, oh, you're playing they flip a random fire card. Oh, you're playing fire. All right, cool. Now I know what you're playing, and now I know how to play accordingly.
Yeah, I think she's solid. In title, she's okay. I'll give her a 3 as well there, just because I think she could see play. She does something cool that other Scions can't do, even though she's not a Scion. And, I guess you could play her turn 1 as well and get in some early damage in title, which can cause a problem for some title decks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's decent.
Yeah, I mean, she's just really easy to kill for the most part. And I think that goes for the same in Standard, but she's a 2 CP, so a lot of times they're spending more than you spent, so...
And also what's really good about her in title, she doesn't specifically choose. Yeah. So if they block with a Gull Wing, it's like dead.
Yep. Yeah, I need a clarification on that ruling. I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure, but I think if I'm reading it correctly because of the way they worded it, it works that way. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so that's all the lightning forwards, or not forwards, all the lighting cards. I think it's pretty solid. I think they got some cool new toys. I think lightning decks I think mainly mono, in my opinion, is going to change a lot. And maybe we start seeing more Lightning X decks in the future.
Yeah, that aren't Scions.
Yeah, that aren't Scions. I don't even really count that.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. I think they're very. I think they got some kind of like the full spectrum of cards. They got some very average cards. They got some very I think powerful cards and very like good build around cards. So it's kind of given them a different identity, or like it gives them mini hats to wear. So I think they look really exciting. This might be the first time in a set that I've actually been excited to play purple cards. So
yep,
that was for you, Andy.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, next time it's going to be water. So we'll see you then.